Welcome to Script Doctors, where we fix what Hollywood won't or can't, depending on the situation. This week's episode, The Blair Witch. Not to be confused with the Blair Witch Project of the 1999 movie. This is a sequel to that movie. This actually follows up 15 years after the original and follows James, who is Heather's brother. Heather is the girl in the first movie. He finds footage on the internet that was leaked out, that was found, and he believes it's his sister in the woods. So he does the logical thing and decides to go out into the woods. I won't go into any more spoilers right here. I want you to go into this movie fresh. If you're a fan of the original Blair Witch movie, go into this movie fresh. Understand that there are some jump scares, so it does turn some people off of these kind of movies. I encourage you to see this movie. Those are a little bumpy. Those could be removed. That's really my biggest problem with the movie. But I encourage you, if you are a fan of the original movie, go out and see the movie if you haven't already. Here we're going to start our spoilers section, so please click away if you don't want to hear any more about the Blair Witch. So, now that any of you are still with me, the Blair Witch, I think, excels in quite a few areas. There are some areas that could have been corrected. In some case, I think that I know that this is a found footage movie. Everyone's using their own gadget, like they have earpieces and handy cams and some cameras they put in specific areas to get night vision shots. I think some of the screaming was a little too much when they're just running through the woods. I think they could have done it in a better way. I know this was found footage, but they could have been done better. But on to the things that I liked about this. By the way, also the jump scares that I mentioned earlier, minimize those. One of the things that I thought was very good in this movie was the idea that the Blair Witch and the Blair Witch Woods does not exist in time like we think of it. It doesn't exist, in our linear fashion. And they did this in a really cool way. The very beginning footage that they find, that James decides to go out and try to see if it's actually his sister, that footage is actually filmed by Lisa, his friend, at the end of the movie. So the footage that he saw that made him decide to go look for his sister was actually filmed by them, and then found before they went. And this actually all works within the idea of the Blair Witch. So when they're lost in the woods, once you've gotten into her area, time doesn't exist the way that we think of it. Even geography doesn't exist the way that we think of it. You're stuck there. You're stuck there until you die, or until she lets you out, or whatever. I don't think she lets people out, but they meet the two people who found the footage that brings the characters in to actually try to track down Heather, are Lane and Talia. And at first you think that they're up to something, because Lane's camera uses the same type of tape that was found. So you start to think maybe they're trying to kill them. Maybe they really worship the Blair Witch and they're gonna off them at one point. And it didn't go that way, thankfully. They end up splitting up with them, and then when they see them later on that day, maybe 7 or 8 hours later, for them it's only been 7 or 8 hours, but for Talia and Lane it's been 5 or 6 days. When they find Lane later on, it's probably been maybe almost a year, maybe 9 months. I don't know. He's just completely disheveled. He's got a huge beard and he's covered in mud. And it's interesting because to her it's only been another 12 hours or maybe 24 hours. Who knows? The sun stops moving. It just stays in darkness. You can't really tell. But I think it's really interesting how time is kind of manipulated in here. Geography is manipulated as well. We mentioned the gadgets. They have ear cameras, which look really cool because it's not an obtrusive GoPro. It's a little Bluetooth looking earpiece that films them. And they also have a drone. So the earpieces have GPS, which stops working, or it doesn't work properly. And then the drone, when they end up trying to fly it up, saying, okay, well, let's figure out where we are, all they can see is woods. The street's gone, the river is gone. So I thought that was kind of cool to add that supernatural element. The other thing that I liked was that the cabin, or the house, I keep calling it a cabin because I think of Cabin in the Woods in all these movies. The house is a much more important part of the movie. It's only seen very briefly in the first movie. In this, they get into the house, and the doors, there are multiple doors. Like, as soon as you walk into the entryway is a little 5x5 box, and there's 4 doors. And if you go through one, so James goes through one, and then when Lisa ends up going in to follow him, she goes through the same door because it's cracked, but it's completely different now. The house's layout's almost changed. James decides to run up the stairs. I can't remember if it was James or Lisa. Running up the stairs, and it's James. He's trying to follow what he thinks is Heather. I think it was Heather. I think Heather is still alive, and because the time doesn't work quite the same way, it's maybe been a couple months for her, and it's been 15 years total. He goes to try to find her, goes up a staircase, and he sees a long hallway, and he sees her run across. So he runs down the hallway, takes a turn, and then he's at another set of stairs. It's the exact same set of stairs, and he goes up it a couple times. I thought that was really interesting. So when Lisa ends up going through, she goes through the same door, and it doesn't go up; it goes down. There's a basement. So it was interesting how they played with the layout of the house and how it doesn't stay. It's not of this world. None of it's of this world, which I thought was really cool. So, like I said. I actually enjoyed a lot of this movie. There were some jump scares towards the beginning and the middle half that I didn't like, but the ending I think was a great payoff. Let me know in the comments what you thought of the Blair Witch. Did you think it was good? Did you think it was lacking? Did you not like the jump scares like I liked? Like I didn't like as well? Let me know what you thought, and we'll talk to you later. Yeah,